Prosecutors and lawyers for Kouri Richins have selected jurors for her murder case.
She is the Camas woman accused of poisoning her husband with fentanyl-laced cocktail, then writing a children's book about grief. Richins has pleaded not guilty in the case. There are 8 primary jurors, 4 alternates. When the 6-week trial ends, they will decide her fate.
We have team coverage for you tonight. Brian Schnee and Liv Kelleher are both following the story for us. And Brian, lawyers and the judge selected the jurors pretty quickly.
They did. They moved really fast through this process, but then again, it all depends on who you're getting in that jury pool. And much to the thanks of a 23-page long questionnaire, they had a pretty good idea of who they were looking for, and it just seemed to work out that the first 2 waves of jurors just on the first day were enough to pick from. And then today, they were able to narrow down that number from 24 to 12. They were able to cut it in half without much deliberation, by the way. The only moment was when the defense actually questioned one of the strikes of one of the jurors from the prosecution. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can see that thread on my X page right now. All of this wrapped up early, by the way, 11 o'clock. Tomorrow, not much happening other than maybe both sides doing their homework, submitting more motions and paperwork. But then on Friday, they're actually back here in this courtroom at 1 o'clock with another motion that was put forth by the state involving some of the expert testimony that the defense will want to call, and they're going to discuss that. Kouri Richins will be back in the courtroom here 1 o'clock Friday afternoon. Keep in mind the trial doesn't get going until the 23rd. So we have our jury, and now we need to talk about Liv Kelleher, who will be with us covering this throughout the course of at least perhaps 5 weeks. Big concern when you have so many eyes on a situation like this is always safety. They have a great plan already laid out here that covers parking, that covers all of these things here at the courthouse, but safety is top of mind. What did you learn today?
Yeah, that's right, Brian. I spoke with Chris Palmer. He is the head of court security here. He says they are expecting a crowd. There's different reasons why someone will attend a high-profile trial. Of course, there's the media. He says they've gotten both national and international press inquiries. There's community members who have a vested interest or stakes in the outcome of this trial. And he said there's a third group that's perhaps most concerning, and those are the people who are the so-called looky-loos, who may be coming here to be disruptive or seek attention.
After 3 years of anticipation and national attention, the court says keeping this trial safe and fair is now their top priority.
So we want to have as little disruption as possible to the staff, to the jury, to the participants involved in the trial, the defense, and the state.
He says high-profile cases bring a unique set of challenges.
We still have a fraction of people who want to come to one of these high-profile events because they know there are going to be a lot of cameras and people watching to do this.
The judge will publish a decorum order laying out the rules for the trial, including how many viewers each side can bring, what items are allowed in the courtroom, rules on electronics, and possible restrictions on media access.
There will be no warnings. If anybody violates any of those orders, we will permanently remove them from the court for the duration of this trial.
Palmer says a key focus is protecting jurors and witnesses from outside pressure or interference.
So we want to make sure that we're monitoring any inappropriate communications, any attempts to influence a jury, have contact with, so that way we're not causing, in a worst case scenario, some kind of security incident, and then, or maybe a mistrial.
Jury consultant Melinda Ruth says these proceedings can take a toll on jurors.
They understand that these decisions being made impact real human beings on a visceral level.
Jurors asked to do a very, very hard thing, and that is to weigh all the facts and listen to the rules of the judge.
Keeping them safe, he says, is central to the integrity of the trial.
And if there's any kind of inappropriate communication or attempts to contact a juror, our bailiffs will know about it, and they'll forward that to the investigative side of the Summit County Sheriff's Department.
Now, Palmer says they are taking lessons from another high-profile case that happened here 2 years ago. That was the Gwyneth Paltrow civil case. He says he's using that to plan for the scope and media attention they are expecting. He says they don't quite know how many additional officers will be here for the duration of the trial, but it will, quote, be more than they need. Brian?
Well, there are 10 media seats each day, and then additional media members can be with general public, which the general public can also attend this. There are also limited seats, and there is definitely limited parking here at the courthouse. Again, there shouldn't be much happening next week. However, the way this case has gone, there could be more motions filed, more discussions. Again, Kouri Richins will be back here with her attorneys and the prosecution again in front of the judge on Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock. And then next week should be open, but that could always be on the table. The trial gets underway the 23rd, bright and early, 8:30 a.m. Back inside to you.
All right, Brian Schnee reporting live for us tonight. We have been covering this case since May of 2023. That's when police arrested Richins and charged her with murder. Just a few weeks later in June, that's when they denied her bail. There have been a lot of appeals along the way. Jury selection, trial location have all been issues where they were trying to move it out of Summit County down to Salt Lake County. The Supreme Court ruling last summer said that it would indeed stay in Summit County where it's being held right now. And again, that jury was selected officially today. Next week, that trial will get underway.